Hello everyone, Giltar here with my first entry and contribution to RiderFest. And what this is basically an introduction to the S.I.C product line. Now there are two basic reasons why I'm making this kind of, introduction to S.I.C. First, I'll be reviewing S.I.C figures of Kamen Rider characters during RiderFest, and I'll be reviewing also other S.I.C products after RiderFest. And so instead of repeating myself during every review that I make of an S.I.C figure, basically going over the same information, I'll be referring people back to this introduction video so that they can watch this once, get some background information, and then they can watch any other S.I.C review with no problems. They won't be sort of left in the dark with respect to some details. And the second reason why I'm doing this introduction video to S.I.C is basically because S.I.C is still not very well known in most circles. Even in the hardcore Japanese action figure collector sort of groups, S.I.C is still not that well known. And even here at YouTube, where there are many toy reviewers, there are only a few channels that I'm aware of that really focus significant attention and time to S.I.C figure reviews. And even throughout the internet, where there are many toy review websites and toy discussion sites, forums basically, the S.I.C product line is relatively rarely discussed and relatively rarely reviewed. So there's just not a lot of information, especially not a lot of current information regarding the S.I.C product line. The only exception is if you follow Japanese toy reviewers. They regularly review S.I.C figures, obviously, but if you don't read Japanese, you're still going to be left in the dark. So hopefully this introduction video to S.I.C combined with reviews will help inform people better about this product line and basically allow them to make informed judgments and opinions upon whether or not to invest money into this very expensive product line. Now let's start off with information about S.I.C. First of all, it's a 1/10 scale action figure line. It basically takes classic character designs by Shotaro Ishinomori, who is probably best known for creating Kamen Rider, but he's also worked in manga, anime, and other tokusatsu or live-action TV shows of, the superheroic genre. And so it's not just Kamen Rider that's covered in S.I.C, though Kamen Rider is mainly what Bandai, the company that produces these figures, it's mainly what they focus upon. But the earlier S.I.C figures, in fact, did cover other non-Kamen Rider characters. S.I.C debuted over a decade ago in December of 1998. The first figure or product of the S.I.C line, which is called a volume. So volume 1 of S.I.C was of Kikaider, which is a character from a tokusatsu TV show. Now, there are two people that basically designed the figures, or at least sculpt the designs for the figures. Takayuki Takeya and Kenji Ando. Now, there are two divisions of Kamen Rider. There are the Showa era Kamen Riders and the Heisei era Kamen Riders. The Showa era Kamen Riders are basically Kamen Rider characters that were created during Shotaro Ishinomori's lifetime. After he passed away, then came the next generation of Kamen Rider TV shows, which are called the Heisei era Kamen Riders. And it basically starts off with Kamen Rider Kuga, followed by Kamen Rider Agido, and then Kamen Rider Ryuki, and then so on and so forth. Now, Takayuki Takeya handles mainly the Showa era designs, and then Kenji Ando mainly handles the Heisei era designs. And what these two designers do is that they take these character or costume designs from the TV shows, and essentially they reimagine them and revamp them in some way to make them a little different. And I guess the best way that I would put it is that you can compare it, in a similar fashion as the comic book characters of X-Men or Batman, and then look at the costume designs in the comic books, and then compare them to the or the costume designs in the live-action movies or TV shows. What happens there is that the costume designers on these shows and movies will take the original costume, get inspiration from them, and then redesign them. That's what S.I.C does. It reimagines the original concepts. Now, for scale comparison, for example, I've got Kamen Rider Ixa here in both SH Figuarts toy form and then the S.I.C toy form here. As you can see, obviously the SH Figuarts figure is shorter. Because the S.I.C figures are in 1/10 scale, they're about 7.5 inches tall or so, whereas the SH Figuarts are about 5 to 6 inches tall on average. And to also demonstrate the idea of reimagining the character or costume design, we see the SH Figuarts Ixa here, which is very accurate to the TV show costume, and then compared to the S.I.C version here, which is very close, but we still see deviations in terms of its design. Now, for additional scale comparison examples, I've got my 1:100 scale Master Grade Gundam here, the RX-782 version 2.0 version. And then the Kamen Rider Hibiki figure here of the S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii line, which are basically miniaturized S.I.C figures. Now, there are three basic, generations or designs or styles of S.I.C figures. Volumes 1 to 10, or basically the first 10 S.I.C figures, were very much statues. They basically came with these sort of display bases, and you, I think, pegged them onto the bases, and then they had accessories you could attach and swap out. They also had some limited articulation with respect to maybe the arms and maybe the waist and perhaps the neck. But essentially they were very much statues with very limited articulation. That was Generation 1 of S.I.C. Generation 2 came along starting with Volume 11 and then went through to Volume 39. What happened here was that these new generation of S.I.C figures did not come with display bases or stands. They were actually sort of fully fledged action figures like these ones here. They can stand on their own. Now the thing is that even though they were standalone action figures and had actually improved articulation over volumes 1 to 10, they were still very limited for the most part. And throughout volumes 11 to volume 39, there was a steady, gradual evolution of the figure design, where it improved. But it wasn't until volume 40 where things seemed to turn around. A lot of experienced S.I.C collectors seem to say unanimously, as far as I've read, that volume 40 of S.I.C, which is Kamen Rider Agito and Machine Tornado, his motorcycle, that's where the S.I.C figure line really made the next sort of significant evolutionary step in design. Articulation here was much improved, and joint design was much improved too. There have been reports of earlier S.I.C figures with joints that wear down and break. They just weren't as durable as some expected. It seems that at volume 40 and onwards, really things improved there. Now, just to also let you guys know, Kamen Rider Agito not only exists as volume 40, there's also an earlier iteration of Kamen Rider Agito in volume 19. These are two different figure designs and sculpts. Volume 40 is a totally new sculpt. It's not a simple retool of the original existing sculpt. It's not a repaint. It's a new figure with improved articulation and design overall. So if you find two Kamen Rider Agitos from the S.I.C figure line, make sure you find out which volume each one is. If it's volume 19, it's the older one. If it's volume 40 and it comes with the Machine Tornado motorcycle, it's the newer one with much improved design. Now, there are related or spin-off product lines to S.I.C. There's the S.I.C Takumi Damashi, which are basically little statues, miniaturized versions of existing S.I.C figures, but again, they're statues, they don't have articulation. Then there's S.I.C Kiwami Tamashii, which are again miniaturized versions of existing S.I.C designs, but they actually do have articulation, and a really great range of articulation. They're very posable. There's also the Equip and Prop line, which are S.I.C styled figures that come from the TV show or tokusatsu show Garo, which I believe came out in 2007. It's relatively recent. It's a fairly new show. Also, there's a S.I.C styled line for the Super Sentai or Power Rangers franchise called Rangers Strike Solid. And like the S.I.C Takumi Damashi, these are little statues. They don't have articulation, but they're very well sculpted, really great details. And then there's also two additional S.I.C. styled lines, manga realization and movie realization. Movie realization takes characters that have been in movies and sort of brings them into the S.I.C. styled lineup with revamped, reimagined designs. The same thing goes with the manga realization line, except instead of movie characters, it takes manga characters. Now, the S.I.C. acronym actually stands for Super Imaginative Chogokin. Now, some people might be wondering about the Chogokin part. People who are familiar with the term Chogokin probably know it more as the sort of general basic classification of toys with metal content. Originally, Chogokin actually comes from Go Nagai's manga and then anime, Mazinger Z, Mazinger Z, or Mazinga Z, however you want to pronounce it. Chogokin originally meant basically super alloy, a fictional sort of super metal. I guess sort of an analog to Chogokin would be adamantium from Marvel Comics. Now, in 1972, a toy company from Japan called Poppy Toy Company created a line of die-cast metal toys and called it Chogokin. That line got really famous, took off, and then other toy manufacturers adopted the term of Chogokin as a term for die-cast metal toys, or toys with some metal content. Now, the thing about the S.I.C. line is that even though it is called a Chogokin line, generally it has very minimal metal content. Usually it's allocated to armor components. Other times you'll see it in the chest area of the toys, maybe in the lower legs. But a lot of people have criticized S.I.C. for not being very Chogokin because they don't have a lot of metal content. Now, there are some S.I.C. figures that do have significant metal content. There's the S.I.C. Kamen Rider Decade figure, which has extra armor components for its complete form, which are all die-cast metal armor components. So in its normal form, it's not that much in terms of metal content, but once you swap the parts out and create the complete form Decade, you'll have a pretty hefty figure. So that's something else to keep in mind. For people who are expecting sort of the mecha or robot style Chogokin figures with a lot of die-cast metal in them, you're not going to get that from S.I.C. Most of the time you'll get pretty minimal metal components. On the other hand, these are very hefty, robust, durable figures. They're, at least the ones that I have, they're all very robust. They have a great physical presence. When you pick them up, they feel heavy. So even though they don't seem to have a lot of metal content, they are sort of loaded up with at least dense components so that you won't have any fear of them falling apart. At least not the ones that have come from the Volume 40 and onward S.I.C. figures. And I guess that's pretty much it for the S.I.C. introduction. I just want to state right now, I should have stated it earlier, but I'm by no means an expert on S.I.C. All the information that I'm providing right now has been gathered from internet sources, from Wikipedia, and from the various toy reviewer websites. I'm getting information from there, but it's pretty reliable in that it's been repeated throughout many different toy reviews and people who are more knowledgeable about the Japanese toy scene and the S.I.C. product line. So I hope you guys enjoyed this bit of information here. I will be heading into Rider Fest with more reviews actually of Kamen Rider figures and other products. I hope you guys enjoy Rider Fest. It's shaping up to be a really great collaboration. It's been, it's something that was, originated by Versa Z, and I'm very happy that he invited me to be a part of it. I can't wait to see the S.I.C. and Kamen Rider, generally figure reviews done by other people. I think there's at least going to be one other S.I.C. review. I believe Versa Z will be reviewing the ultimate form of Kamen Rider Kuga in S.I.C. form sometime down the road. The first week of Rider Fest here basically involves Kamen Rider Kuga, Agito, and then Ryuki. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon with another video.